The Mediterranean Sea, a vast expanse of blue, stretches out before us. The sun glints off the waves, but there's an undercurrent of tension in the air. A Roman galley cuts through the water, its oars moving with relentless precision. For over a century, two great powers had vied for control of this ancient sea. Rome, the ambitious republic, and Carthage, the mighty Phoenician city-state. Their struggle was epic, a series of wars that saw heroes rise and empires tremble. The First Punic War, a grueling naval conflict for control of Sicily, had bled both sides dry. The second, a cataclysmic clash that brought Hannibal, the brilliant Carthaginian general, and his war elephants to the very gates of Rome. For 16 long years, he ravaged the Italian countryside, a shadow that haunted every Roman's dreams. But Rome endured, it learned, it adapted, and it struck back. And after a generation of uneasy peace, the wounds of war festered. In the bustling Roman Forum, senators in flowing togas argue heatedly. Cato the Elder, an old man with a stern face and fire in his eyes, points a gnarled finger towards the south. His voice, though unheard, is a constant, droning rumble. The Roman senator ended every speech, no matter the topic, with the same chilling phrase: Carthage must be destroyed. A generation of Romans had grown up with stories of Hannibal's elephants and the near collapse of their city. The memory of their humiliation was a powerful poison, a deep-seated fear that festered in the heart of the Republic. Across the sea, on the coast of North Africa, stands a stark, walled city. Its gates are imposing, its walls thick and formidable. This is Carthage, a city of commerce and culture. Though weakened and stripped of its empire, it was not broken. It had recovered, its trade routes humming once more, its markets filled with the bounty of the sea and the desert. This revival, this stubborn prosperity, was a threat to Rome's sense of absolute dominance. The treaty that ended the Second Punic War had crippled Carthage, forbidding it from raising an army without Rome's permission. For 50 years, Carthage was forced to endure the constant aggression of Massinissa, the king of Numidia, a Roman ally who relentlessly encroached on their territory. He stole their land, attacked their villages, and Rome consistently sided with him. When Carthage, in desperation, finally armed itself to repel his attacks, Rome saw its long-awaited opportunity. The casus belli, the justification for war, was finally at hand. Roman soldiers prepare for war, sharpening swords and polishing armor. Ships are loaded with supplies, the air thick with anticipation. In the Senate, its members stand as a unified front, declaring war with grim resolve. The pretext was flimsy, the motive clear. In 149 BC, Rome declared war for the third and final time. This was not a war of conquest, but of annihilation. The Roman army arrived with a list of demands, each one more crippling than the last. They demanded hostages, the complete disarmament of the city, and finally, the unthinkable. They demanded that the Carthaginians abandon their coastal home and rebuild 50 miles inland, effectively destroying their way of life as a maritime power. The choice was simple and terrible. Submit to a slow, deliberate death, or fight. The Carthaginian people chose to fight. They were cornered, with no allies to turn to. Their city, a beacon of commerce and culture for over 600 years, stood alone against the might of the Roman Republic. They had no army, no weapons, but they had their city, their homes, and their pride. The people of Carthage transformed their metropolis into a fortress, every citizen becoming a soldier in a desperate struggle for survival. For 3 long, agonizing years, the city resisted with a ferocity born of despair. The Carthaginians, facing an implacable foe, displayed a courage that shocked their Roman adversaries. They fought with whatever they could find: In dark, smoke-filled workshops, citizens melted down statues of their gods to forge new weapons. Women cut their long hair, which was then twisted into ropes for catapults. Every house became a fortress, every street a battlefield. The siege of Carthage was not just a military campaign, but a war of attrition against an entire population. It was a relentless, grinding conflict where every day brought new hunger and fresh casualties. Roman catapults hurled massive stones at the walls, while defenders, men and women alike, worked tirelessly to repair the breaches. The desperation was palpable, hanging in the air like a thick, choking fog. In 146 BC, the Roman legions finally breached the inner walls. Under the command of Scipio Aemilianus, a man of immense skill and a descendant of the hero who defeated Hannibal, the soldiers poured over the defenses. The battle shifted from the ramparts to the streets, a horrifying house-to-house struggle that lasted for 6 days. The stench of blood and fire filled the air as the city was systematically dismantled. Building by building, the Romans showed no mercy. The clash of steel on steel echoed through the narrow alleys, punctuated by screams and the crash of collapsing structures. Smoke billowed from burning buildings, obscuring the sun and turning day into a hellish twilight. The final surrender came from the citadel, where the last 900 Carthaginian survivors, including the general Hasdrubal and his family, finally gave up. It was over. In the aftermath, Scipio Aemilianus surveyed the destruction. The once proud city was now a smoldering ruin, its streets littered with the dead and dying. He is said to have wept, reflecting on the fleeting nature of empires and reciting a line from Homer. The day shall come when holy Troy shall fall, and Priam and his people perish all. In that moment of victory, he saw the shadow of Rome's own eventual downfall. The surviving Carthaginians were sold into slavery, their lives forever changed by the cruel hand of fate. The city was systematically razed to the ground, its stones pulled from the earth, its memory erased. Roman engineers are said to have even plowed salt into the soil, cursing the land so that nothing would ever grow there again. Whether true or not, the message was clear. Carthage was gone, wiped from the face of the earth by the implacable will of Rome. The Third Punic War was a testament to Roman power, a brutal act of vengeance that secured their absolute dominance over the Mediterranean. But, in the final, chilling act of this long, bitter conflict, a question was answered. Not who would rule the sea, but how far an empire would go to silence its enemies. The final war, the last stand of Carthage, was a stark reminder that in the unforgiving world of ancient empires, mercy was a luxury few could afford. As the dust settled on the empty plains where Carthage once stood, a solitary figure stands on a hill overlooking the desolation. The wind whispers across the barren land, carrying with it the echoes of a once great civilization. A single, broken column remains, a silent monument to a fallen empire. The final war, the last stand, was over. And for Carthage, there was no tomorrow.